Good morning, all of you. I welcome you all in mock parliament. I hope today's session goes well. Members to take oath or affirmation. Secretary General, please.
Mrs. Mahika, who stands elected from the Chandi Chowk constituency of Delhi, will now take the oath or affirmation.
I, Mahika Khanna, having been elected a member of the lower house of the mock parliament, do swear in the name of God that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India as by law established, that I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India, and that I will faithfully discharge the duty upon which I am about to enter.
Honorable members, I have to inform the House about the sad demise of Shri Anna Joshi, who was the member of 12th Lok Sabha, presented the Pune Parliament constituency of Maharashtra. Shri Anna Joshi has been a member of Maharashtra Legislative Assembly 3 times. He also served as the Deputy Speaker of Maharashtra Legislative Assembly. He was tirelessly of the upliftment of poor and backward society.
Honorable Speaker Madam, I rise to pay my tributes to Shri Anna Joshi, whose death has been deeply mourned by all. He was a strong man who came from a family of freedom fighters and never left any stone unturned when it came to give himself for the country. I should like to extend my condolence to his family.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, I associate myself with the tributes paid by you and the Leader of the House. I had a privilege to work with Shri Anna Joshi as a colleague who was lovable by his nature. He never annoyed anyone and always greeted everyone with a smiling face. He was a very large-hearted person. We have lost a very good social worker, political worker and public man in him. I would like to associate myself and my party in sending condolences to bereaved family. Thank you.
We all will stand and applaud Shri Anna Joshi for the heartfelt condolences of the family. Now I would like to call Prime Minister to introduce new ministers.
Honorable Speaker Madam, I have a pleasure introducing my colleagues, the new ministers. Shri Chirag Sehlot, Minister of Irrigation, Shri Ravi Kumar, Minister of Road Transport and Highways.
Let's start today's proceeding with the introduction of new education policy bill by HRD Minister Mr. Adarsh Kumar.
Thank you, Speaker Madam, for giving me this opportunity. The NEP has been introduced after 34 years under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. I would like to say that this policy has been rigorously consulted all over the country before drafting the bill. There were around 2 lakh suggestions from 2.5 lakh Gram Panchayat, 6,000 urban local bodies and 676 districts has been received. As an education minister, the NEP 2020 will bring 2 crore out of school children back to the stream. It's a comprehensive framework to guide the development of education in the country. In school education, the policy focuses on overhauling the curriculum, easier board exams, a reduction in the syllabus to retain core essentials, and thrust on experiential learning and critical thinking. In a significant shift from 1986 policy, which pushed for a 10+2 structure of school education, the new pitches for a 5+3+3+4 design corresponding to the age groups of 3 to 8, which is the foundational stage, 8 to 11 is a preparatory stage, 11 to 14 is middle, and 14 to 18 is secondary stage. This brings early childhood education, which also known as preschool education, for children of ages 3 to 5 under the ambit of formal schooling. The midday meal program will be extended to preschool. The NEP says students until 5 should be taught in their mother tongue. The policy also proposes phasing out of all institutions offering single streams and that all universities and colleges must aim to be multidisciplinary by 2040.
Speaker Madam, I would like to ask the Education Minister that how will these reforms be implemented?
Madam, since education is a concrete subject, the reforms can only be implemented collaboratively by center and the states. This will not happen immediately. The incumbent government set a target of 2040 to implement the entire policy. Sufficient funds is also crucial. The 1986 policy was hamstrung by a shortage of funds. The government plans to set up subject-wise committees with members from relevant ministries at the both central and state level to develop implementation plans for each aspect of the NEP. The plans will be list out action to be taken by multi-bodies, including HRD Minister, State Education Department, school boards, NCERT, Central Advisor Board of Education and National Testing Agency, among others. Planning will be followed by a yearly joint review of progress against targets set.
Now the question hour begins. Question number 101, Miss Diksha Vashisht.
माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, मैं सबसे पहले माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी की प्रशंसा करना चाहूँगी और उन्हें बधाई देना चाहूँगी कि यह विषय उनके हृदय के इतने निकट है। बाल लिंग अनुपात बढ़ता जा रहा है और इससे हमारा पूरा समाज व देश दुष्प्रभावित हो रहा है। मैं माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी को भी धन्यवाद देना चाहूँगी और उनसे जानना चाहूँगी कि 161 जिले चुने गए थे जिनमें बाल लिंग अनुपात सबसे कम है। इनमें से बेटी पढ़ाओ योजना के बाद वे 10 जिले कौन से हैं जिनमें सबसे सफल यह योजना रही है और हम इस लिंग अनुपात को सबसे कम कर पाए हैं।
Aprajita Chandrika, please.
Madam, this has been an extremely successful program. In the first year of 2014, we took 100 districts and at the end of the year, 58 districts had done extremely well and even going up by 100 points. In the second year, we took 161 districts and so far that report have come in, we have done extremely well in 104 districts. Of these, in the first and North Sikkim has done the best. In 2014, it was at 831 and at present it is at 1009, which means more girls than boys. In Karnal and other districts of Mizoram, it has gone up from 915 to 1022, which is phenomenal. In Kadlor in Tamil Nadu, it has gone up from 856 to 957. In Ghaziabad, which is a very difficult area, it has gone up from 899 to 977.
माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, मैं माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी से जानना चाहूंगी कि जो 10 सबसे दुष्प्रभावित जिले हैं वे कौन से हैं और वे क्या कारण हैं जिनकी चुनौतियां इन जिलों के सामने हैं और क्या इसके समाधान के लिए सरकार के पास कोई मॉड्यूल है?
The districts that have not done so well are in the last year. They are Etawah in Saharanpur, it has gone down. You can see that most of these are in Uttar Pradesh. Then some other states are Bijnor, Champawat, Chamoli, Dehradun, Haridwar, Kolkata. In fact, Kolkata is unfortunately the worst of 161 districts that we have taken. Now, what are the challenges that we face? As a center, we have no feet on the ground, so we are totally dependent on local and state administration. We do a huge backup with sustained media campaign with rewards and awards. We are working with Ministry of Health under the PCPNDT Act to make sure that women are admitted into administrative hospital in early stages of pregnancy. There are many challenges that we face in districts that did not do so well. One, the funds did not go from the state government to the district in time, especially in Bihar where there is a time lag of 6 to 8 months, and in UP I don't think the funds have still reached. Now, what are the corrective measures that we took? In the year 2016 to 17, we devised a scheme and started disbursement of funds directly to the direct collectors. Since then, it has become much better. The state of Rajasthan and Haryana has done the best, so they have been awarded. We are now putting dedicated manpowers in each district with a newly formulated scheme of Mahila Shakti Kendra, in which these people will man from our side and of course motivating the local people.
अध्यक्ष महोदया, मैं आपको धन्यवाद देना चाहूंगी कि आपने मुझे इतने महत्वपूर्ण विषय पर प्रश्न पूछने का मौका दिया। मैं माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी को भी बधाई देना चाहूंगी कि उन्होंने मेरे प्रश्न का डिटेल्ड रिप्लाई दिया है। सरकार की तरफ से बहुत महत्वपूर्ण कार्य हो रहा है और हमारे माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का मुख्य कार्यक्रम बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ है। इसके बावजूद भी राज्यों में लिंग अनुपात में बेटियों की संख्या बहुत कम है, जो हमारे राज्य के लिए एक चिंता का विषय है। हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी जब गुजरात के मुख्यमंत्री थे तो उन्होंने बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ अभियान पुरजोर से शुरू किया था। इसमें महत्वपूर्ण बात यह है कि प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा था कि अकेली सरकार इस विषय में कुछ नहीं कर सकती जब तक कि इसमें लोक भागीदारी नहीं जुड़ती है। इस कार्यक्रम को उन्होंने जन आंदोलन के रूप में शुरू किया था। महोदया, मैं मंत्री जी से पूछना चाहती हूँ कि यह कार्यक्रम देश में जन आंदोलन का रूप ले, इसके लिए क्या उपाय करेंगे?
महोदय, यह प्रोग्राम इसलिए सफल रहा है क्योंकि इसमें लोगों की भागीदारी है, नहीं तो सरकार अकेले इस दिशा में कुछ नहीं कर सकती है। यह रिवाज हजारों साल पुराना है कि we kill them either in the womb or we kill them after they are born. To change the mindset, especially in patriarchal society as in Rajasthan, Haryana and other places, and the fact that we have been able to do it means that people have been involved at every step. Madam Speaker, I would like to give some examples. First, all birth statistics are put in public places in goody boards and debate is encouraged on this in every village. All government buildings, public offices, official public vehicles, public transport, school buses, they all are using Beti Bachao Beti Padhao logo. Then we celebrate the birth of the girl child and we dedicate special days on the value of the girl child linking to Sukanya Samriddhi accounts with the birth girl. Children and felicitating parents who have or had girl. On the other hand, we are also using people to give us information on the sex selection machinery. We have tightened up the procedure in the PC and PNDT Act. Thank you, Madam.
Question number 102, Miss Sherry.
Madam Speaker, will the Minister of Forest and Environment be pleased to state A. The latest position of numbers of elephants getting killed in the locomotive accidents on the railway track in the country. B. Whether keeping in view the present situation, the government have educated plans to meet the situation. And C. If no, the measure proposed by the government to deal with the situation.
Minister of Forest and Environment, Mr. Ruhan, please.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am highly thankful to the member for her concern towards animal cause. Every animal killed is a great loss to the forest and to its owner. However, the good news is that 2012, 2013 and 2014 all had relatively low numbers of animal deaths like 65, 66 and 64. But by July 2017, already it has been reached to 48. B. About the concern of the government, the Animal Accident Reduction Group has been formed to improve analysis of the accident statistics and coordinate the actions of various organizations involved. Railways and highways are a source of wildlife mortality throughout the world. So, my ministry has a serious talk with the state governments, Ministry of Railways, Ministry of Highways and Surface Transport and NGOs. Awareness programs are being organized among the villagers living on the national highways and railway tracks. Ministry of Railway has been suggested to instruct the drivers to reduce the speed and not to cross above 30 km per hour. My ministry has also given proposal to Ministry of Railways and Surface Transport to install elephant repelling system by using infrasonic sound with auto sensor and advanced alert system by using microwave sensors along with radio transmission to coming by locomotive driver and nearest control room.
Question number 103, Mr. Unansh Joshi.
Will the Minister of Agriculture be pleased to state that A. Cheap food grains available to about 2/3 of country's population at a price of ₹1 or ₹2. Could it cost exchequer more than double annually what the government has projected? B. Could the plan cost India dearly? C. Don't the ministry thinks that food subsidies will have adverse effect on agriculture?
Minister of Agriculture, Ms. Subhashmita Ghosh, please.
Madam Speaker, the answer to the question A and B of the honorable member is that the government has estimated the budget to ₹1.2 trillion, which is a little above than $22 billion each year to fund all the food subsidies, including the new one. In this food security mission, the government will be distributing 5 kg of food grains at a very subsidized rate, and at rupees 3 for a kg of rice, rupees 2 for a kg of wheat, and rupees 1 for a kg of other food grains. If we compare this program with the private stores, you will see that they are selling a kg of rice for rupees 20 to 30. You can see the difference by your own eyes only. They are selling the product 7 times the amount we are providing to them. So for sure I can say, this will wipe out the tears of millions of people. No one will die due to hunger. And then the answer to the C part of the honorable member is that an agriculture subsidy is a governmental subsidy paid to farmers and agricultural business to first supplement their incomes, second manage the supply of agricultural commodity, and third influence the cost and supply of such commodities. This subsidy will also provide farmers with an extra amount of money for their crops and guarantee a price of flour. And we have also seen that generally developing countries have a comparative advantage in the production of agricultural goods.
Now we are all going to stand for national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
The House is adjourned to meet again tomorrow at 11 a.m.